Hare Krishna and Pranam dear devotees. So welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam reading sessions. So let us begin with our today's session. Let me share the quiz results for yesterday. So far only one member has attempted the quiz. So no results much to be shown. So Mother Vijaya Mataji has attempted. So 3 correct answers and 2 incorrect. Others can also attempt the quiz. I have shared the quiz link in the chat. Okay, so let us begin with our today's session. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sharmavadi Paschati Deshatarine Om Agyanitimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunvitam Yena Tasmai Shri Parvane Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Deva Chapadhanam Pavanabhava Vaishnave Pradhamana Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. So we are reading from first Canto, 15th chapter, and about that the Pandavas are going to retire. Before that, Arjun is sharing with Yudhishthira Maharaj about his relationship with the Lord, and because the Lord has left, they have been left bereft of the association of the Lord, and because he has wrapped up his pastimes, and so we will continue with reading 25th shloka. Jalokasham jale yadvan mahanto ahandarti aniya sah durbalan bali rajan mahanto balino mithna evam balishte yadubhir mahabhir itaran vibhu yadun yadubhir अन्योन्यम भूभारान संजरा संजरहा संजहरा. Okay. O King, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O King, as in the ocean of, just a minute. O King, as in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatic swallow of the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality in Godhead, to lighten the burden of the earth, has engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller. In the material world, the struggle for existence and survival of the fittest are laws, because in the material world, there is disparity between the conditioned souls due to everyone's desire to lord it over the material resources. This very mentality of lording it over the material nature is the root cause of conditioned life. And to give facility to such imitation lords, the illusory energy of the Lord has created a disparity between conditioned living beings by creating the smaller and the weaker in every species of life. The mentality of lording it over the material nature and the creation has naturally created a disparity, and therefore the laws of struggle for existence. In the spiritual world, there is no such disparity, nor there is such a struggle for existence. In the spiritual world, there is no struggle for existence because everyone there exists eternally. There is no disparity because everyone wants to render service to the Supreme Lord, and no one wants to imitate the Lord in becoming the beneficiary. The Lord being creator of everything, including the living beings, actually is the proprietor and enjoyer of everything that be. But in the material world, by the spell of Maya or illusion, this eternal relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is forgotten, and so the living being is conditioned under the laws of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. तो ये भगवद गीता में भी आता है कि भूमि अपूर्ण वायु हम मन बुद्धि रेवच अहंकार इत्यन्य भिन्न प्रकृति रष्टता अप्रेमितस्त अन्यम प्रकृतिम विधि में पराम जीव भूता महाबाहो विविधम धार्यते जगत. That the living entities which are there in the material world, they are struggling for existence in the material world, and because they want to lord it over, and because they have the desire to lord it over, they're trying to be the controllership. The material nature has been designed as such that there is a inequality among the species. There is a disparity between them. Like for example, I was hearing Prabhupada lecture on this shloka, not on this, but in this chapter, and Prabhupada was sharing a very wonderful story of Punarmushika Bhava. So there was once a mouse, and he approaches a very saintly person, and वो जो the mouse जो चूहा होता है, तो वो he approaches a saintly person and he says to the saintly person that please bless me that I can. There are many species which they वो मेरे को disturb करते हैं. So uh, uh, make me a higher species. तो वो कहते हैं कि अच्छा आप क्या बनना चाहते हैं. So then the saintly person he gives a boon that to the mouse that okay, what do you want to become? The mouse says okay, I want to become a cat. and and then when the mouse becomes a cat, and the cat again comes to the saintly person, and he says, I'm still not satisfied. There are further higher species than me, so please make me a dog. There are lots of dogs. They disturb me a lot, so please make me a dog. Okay. So then the saintly person, because he's a saintly person, he blesses the cat to become a dog. And then when the living entity becomes a dog, he again comes back to the saintly person, and he says, uh, uh, there are so many tigers, they disturb me, so please make me a tiger. So then the saintly person, because he has that powers, so he says okay, tathastu, and you become a tiger. And when that living entity becomes a tiger, and because the tiger is tiger, and he instead of being showing gratitude to that spiritual master or that saintly person, instead of showing gratitude, he starts to attack the the same saintly person. And he says that, oh, you still have got this propensity of lording it over, and you want to, I gave you this boon and you want to kill me only, you want to eat me. Then the tiger said, yes, I want to eat you. Then he again says, okay, again punarmushika bhava, then you again become the mouse. So from the journey of mouse to becoming a tiger to again become the mouse. So Prabhupada shared that pastime, that how there is a disparity among the species of the material nature, and everybody wants to lord it over the other because they want to become the controller. And Prabhupada was saying that instead of showing gratitude to the saintly person, you want to bypass, and you want to step onto that saintly person, and you want to kill that person. So that is not the right way or the right attitude in spirituality. And so this he shares as Punarmushika Bhava. And he was speaking to the citizens of US, and he said to them, actually, Prabhupada, that now you all have become tiger. Your situation is that now you all have become tiger. Now you decide what do you want to do. Like, do you want to show gratitude that because you have got this position, and you want to take a benefit of this position, or you want to become Punarmushika Bhava. So that is up to us, that what do we want to do. But they say, the Lord being creator is the proprietor and enjoyer of everything that be. But we are in the illusion of Maya, and we forget our eternal relationship. So then we are always bound in the struggle for this existence. This existence itself is a struggle only. We see so many examples that at every step there is a struggle. Even to maintain ourselves is a struggle. But in spiritual world, there is no such struggle. In spiritual world, there is no such this punarmushika bhava, or there is no such disparity among each other. There is harmony among all the species. And this we see in the example of Lord Chaitanya also. When he would go to the forest, all the species would come together, and they would, in harmony, they would sing the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and they would chant and dance. Not just the human beings, but all the species would come together. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that even a tiger and a deer can come together and perform in the Sankirtan. So that is not on the level of body, not on any other designation, but on the level of soul. Desh kalartha yuktani rit tapo shamani cha haranti smaratas chittam govinda bhihitani me. Translation. Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda, because they are impregnated with the instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Herein, Arjun refers to the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita, which was imparted to him by the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So this we also see that when somebody who is very near or dear to us, and when they leave, and uh, we are able to remember them more than they are present physically, and that is what is the position of Arjun also. And to remember somebody means to remember their instruction. Like we can associate with those personality through their vani, and that vani means the instruction. And the instructions of the Lord, Arjuna is remembering the Lord, and by remembering the Lord, he is remembering his instruction, his vani, and his vani is Bhagavad Gita. The Lord left behind him the instructions of Bhagavad Gita not for the benefit of Arjuna alone, but also for all times and in all land. The Bhagavad Gita being spoken by personality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Tugdha Gopalanandana. It is nicely presented by the Lord himself for all who have very little time to go through the vast Vedic literatures like the Upanishad, Puranas, and the Vedanta Sutras. It is put It is put within the study of the great historical epic Mahabharata, which was especially prepared for the less intelligent class, namely the women, laborers, and those who are worthless descendants of the Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and higher sections of all the Vaishyas. The problem which arose in the heart of Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra was solved by the teachings on the Bhagavad Gita. Again, after the departure of the Lord from the vision of earthly people, when Arjun was face to face with being vanquished by his acquired power and prominence, he wanted again to remember the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita, just to teach all concerned that the Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour. So this Srila Prabhupada writes in his introduction to Bhagavad Gita as well, that Bhagavad Gita can be consulted, in fact, it must be consulted in all those critical times where we feel that we are bewildered and we don't have a solution to present, and neither any material solution can work for any material problem. Whether a problem is material or spiritual, the solution, if it is material, cannot work. The only solution that can work is spiritual. And and Bhagavad Gita is that spiritual solution, because it establishes our sambandha with the Lord. And when our sambandha is right, then the basis of whatever problem that we are facing is solved. The very basis, if the foundation of the building is very strong, then it cannot be shaken up by any kind of tremor that can occur, right? And if the base and if the foundation is weak, then how beautiful or how big a building can be very easily shaken up. So that is why the basis is very important in the foundation of our spiritual journey, and that basis is Bhagavad Gita. That is why we see that so many acharyas or our gurus in ISKCON, like His Holiness Gopal Krishna Swami Guru Maharaj, they all emphasize that we all read Bhagavad Gita on daily basis. And I would remember that whenever I would hear Maharaj lecture, he would always ask this question: that are you reading Bhagavad Gita on daily? Or he would ask that, please raise your hand who all reads Bhagavad Gita on daily basis. So I can say I never raised my hand, although once or twice, because at that time I would be reading continuously, but it is not possible for me to continue that with that spirit. Then, but they all emphasize that we read Bhagavad Gita on daily basis. We may be reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or many other higher books, but Bhagavad Gita, and we see that how even Prabhupada would read his own Bhagavad Gita and he would get ecstasy. And I remember Shrutakirti Prabhu was sharing once that that he once went to um Prabhupada, and Prabhupada rang his bell, and Shrutakirti Prabhu was his personal servant at that time. And he would say that whenever you would ring the bell, and that means whatever that you are doing, you leave everything and you go and see Srila Prabhupada, what he wants to say. And then Prabhupada would call Shrutakirti Prabhu and he would say, okay, sit. And 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 then he would read his own books and Bhagavad Gita, and he would open Bhagavad Gita and he would read Bhagavad Gita, and he would say that this is so nice, and even if you read um, this one book, this one single book is enough for you to make Krishna conscious. And then he would again repeat, okay, not even this one book, even one chapter if you read, this is sufficient enough for you to make Krishna conscious. And then he would again repeat, not even one chapter, if you read one single um, shloka or one single page of this book, then you can become completely Krishna conscious. And then he would say, not even one single page, if you read one single line of this book, then you can become completely Krishna conscious. He would again revise, even he would say, not even one single line, if you read one single word of this book, you can become Krishna conscious. And this he Shrutakirti Prabhu shared this in recent lectures at Srila Prabhupada Memorial Festival in Ujjain. And after that, and senior devotee, they shared that how this what Prabhupada said, it is also authentic from the scriptures also. That how in the scriptures also say that simply by reading one single word of the scripture, we can be completely Krishna conscious. So that is how it is the potency um, of the Vani of the Lord, and what to speak of the Bhaktivedanta purports that Srila Prabhupada has given. Such nice, wonderful purports that Prabhupada has given to us, whether Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. The merciful Lord left behind him the great teachings of Bhagavad Gita so that one can take the instruction of the Lord even when he is not visible to the material eyesight. Correct. Material senses cannot have any estimation of the Supreme Lord, but by his inconceivable power, the Lord can incarnate himself to the sense perception of the conditioned souls in a suitable manner through the agency of matter, which is another form of Lord's manifested energy. Like we see that the Lord appears in front of us as Archavigraha. So that is his mercy only, that he is inconceivable to our senses. That means our senses are right now material. That means we can only see material. We cannot perceive his transcendental form, even to correct. So for that, he comes down and he takes a step lower, and through that agency, right, through that agency of matter, the Lord shows us his form, his transcendental form through that Archa Vigraha. So like that. Similarly, that through the sound representation also, the Lord is showing us Bhagavad Gita. Thus, the Bhagavad Gita or any authentic scriptural sound representation of the Lord is also the incarnation of the Lord. So wonderful line. Just like we hear that there is the incarnation of the Lord is the holy name, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Similarly, these scriptural representations like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is anyway the representation or the incarnation of the Lord, and Bhagavad Gita also is also the incarnation of the Lord, because there is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. Because there is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself, one can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjun did in the personal presence of the Lord. Wow. And we can read this whole one small paragraph again and again, and you can have multiple realizations. The faithful human being who is desirous of being liberated from the clutches of material existence can very easily take advantage of the Bhagavad Gita And with this in view, the Lord instructed Arjun as if Arjun were in need of it. In the Bhagavad Gita, five important factors of knowledge have been delineated pertaining to the Supreme Lord, living being, nature, time and space, and the process of activity. क्या क्या है वो? जीव, प्रकृति, काल, कर्म और भगवान, है ना? तो ये पांच जो हैं सब्जेक्ट मैटर ऑफ भगवद गीता के, which are discussed in detail in Bhagavad Gita. Out of these, the Supreme Lord and the living being are qualitatively one. The difference between the two has been analyzed as the difference between the whole, the part, and the whole and the part and parcel. Right? Just like uh, a forest fire and an infinitesimal spark. The difference is that. Or a gold mine and a gold particle. Nature is inert matter displaying the interactions of three different modes, and eternal time and unlimited space are considered to be beyond the existence of the material nature. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitude which can entrap or liberate the living being within or without material nature. So this Prabhupada actually tells in Introduction to Bhagavad Gita also, out of these five, four are eternal, like Jeev, Supreme Lord, time and Prakriti. They are eternal. The karma is not eternal, actually. The only thing that can change is the karma. And that is the only thing that we can change by our actions. Activities of the living being are different varieties of aptitudes which can entrap, either we can be entrapped by what we can do, or we can liberate ourselves. Liberating ourselves means acting on the platform of transcendental position, Brahma Bhuta stage. Liberating the living being within and without material nature. All these subject matters are concisely discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, and later the subject matter are elaborated in the Srimad Bhagavatam for further enlightenment. Out of the five subjects, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, out of the five subjects, the Supreme Lord, the living entity, nature and time and space are eternal, but the living entity, nature and time are under the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is absolute and completely independent of any other control. Swarat. The Supreme Lord is the supreme controller. The material activities of the living beings is beginningless, and it can be rectified by transferal into the spiritual quality. So we are that we can change ourselves how? By acting not on the platform of body, but on the platform of soul, or on the platform of on a transcendental platform which is spiritual. Thus, it can cease its material qualitative reactions. Both the Lord and the living entity are cognizant, and both have the sense of identification of being conscious as a living force. But the living being, under the conditions of material nature called Mahatattva, misidentifies himself as being different from the Lord. So this is where illusion begins. And that is the first covering that we get. It is the false ego. We misidentify ourselves as this matter under the influence of these modes of nature. Prakriti kriyamanani guni karmani sarvasha ahankar vimodatma karta aham iti manyate. That we think that we are the doers, but actually whatever actions that are being carried, they are carried by the modes of material nature. The whole scheme of Vedic wisdom is targeted to the aim of eradicating such a misconception and thus liberating the living being from the illusion of material identification. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. When such an illusion is eradicated by knowledge and renunciation, the living beings are responsible actors and enjoyers also. The sense of enjoyment in the Lord is real, but a sense of in the living being is sort of wishful desire only. The difference in consciousness is the distinction of two identities, namely the Lord and the living being. Otherwise, there is no difference between the Lord and the living being. The living being is therefore eternally one and different simultaneously. The whole instruction of Bhagavad Gita stands on this principle. So this is correct. So eternally one and different, one in that they are qualitatively one and different, they are quantitatively and different and simultaneously, right? That this is where Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva also comes into picture, that simultaneously one and different. You know? Just um, like a son and a mother, because the son is born of the mother, there is no difference between mother and the son. But since both are individual, they are different as well. But is son part of the mother? Yes, because they have come from, the son has come from the mother herself, right? So it is simultaneously one and different. So in that way we can understand. The whole instruction of Bhagavad Gita stands on this principle. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord and the living being are both described as Sanatan, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, or eternal, and the Lord's abode far beyond the material sky is also described as Sanatana. The living being is invited to live in the Sanatan existence of the Lord, and the process which can help a living being to approach the Lord's abode, where the liberated activity of the soul is exhibited, is called Sanatan Dharam. One cannot, however, reach the eternal abode of Lord without being free from the misconception of the material identification, and the Bhagavad Gita gives us the clue how to achieve this stage of perfection. The process of being liberated from the misconception of material identification is called, in different stages, fruitive activity, karma, empiric philosophy, jnana, and devotional service, bhakti, up to transcendental realization. Such transcendental realization is made possible by dovetailing all the above items in relation with the Lord. Karam Yog, Gyan Yog, Bhakti Yog. Prescribed duties of the human being are as directed in the Vedas can gradually purify the sinful mind of the conditioned soul and raise him to the stage of knowledge. The purified stage of acquiring knowledge becomes the basis of devotional service to the Lord. Brahmabhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. That purified stage, the Brahmabhuta stage, from that is where the bhakti begins actually. That is what is written. It becomes the basis of devotional service. As long as one is engaged in researching the solution of the problems of life, his knowledge is called Gyan or purified knowledge. But on realizing the actual solution of life, one becomes created in the devotional service to the Lord. Jnanam teham savijnanam. The Bhagavad Gita begins with the problems of life by discriminating the soul from the elements of matter and proves by all reason and argument that the soul is indestructible in circumstances and that the outer covering of the matter and the body and the mind change for one term of material existence, which is full of miseries. The Bhagavad Gita is therefore meant for terminating all different types of miseries, and Arjun took shelter of this great knowledge which has been imparted to him during the Kurukshetra battle. Wonderful. Such a wonderful purport to Srimad Bhagavatam shloka. Amazing. Like this whole, I think this whole purport, it summarizes the complete Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, and the whole subject matter of Bhagavad Gita. Why is Bhagavad Gita important? And up to the highest, right? And we can read this purport again and again. If the one purport can impart all that realization that Bhagavad Gita wants to give us. And this Prabhupada is giving to the shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Wonderful. So, if there are any questions or any comments, then we can take. Otherwise, we can end the session and we will meet tomorrow.
Prabhuji, could we repeat this tomorrow, please? Once again?
I can ask Girash Mataji because tomorrow Prabhuji will take. So, Yeah, maybe.
Thank you. I think it will be really enlightening, actually. I think it's difficult to digest it in one reading.
You can read it. You can read it at your own capacity.
Unfortunately, I don't have the book, so this link, I will try to get onto the link recordings.
No, I can send the link on the group. Actually, I have sent the link on the group. You can read it directly from there.
Thank you. That will be wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll end the session here. नमो ओम विष्णु पदाय कृष्णा पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.